This is your before and after story. Instead of imagining a rewarding career in medical imaging, Southeastern College can actually take you there. Prepare for a career in ultrasound, radiology, and X-ray technology with hands-on specialized training, simulations, and real-life experience with the latest imaging technology. You'll be ready to play a vital role on any healthcare team. Transform your life by helping others. Southeastern College. Your future is bright. Visit scc.edu to get started.
Welcome to Radical Personal Finance, a show dedicated to providing you with the knowledge, skills, insight, and encouragement you need to live a rich and meaningful life now while building a plan for financial freedom in 10 years or less. My name is Joshua Sheets. I'm your host, and today I want to talk a little bit about scams, especially political scams, especially cryptocurrency scams. Tomorrow, on March 20, allegedly, if the internet is to be believed, President Trump will be speaking at the Digital Asset Summit in New York City, a conference happening right now in New York City. And over the last few months, there has been quite a lot of new energy and new things happening in the United States, in the world of cryptocurrencies and a lot of things like that. There's David Sachs is serving as the White House AI and crypto czar. There have been a variety of meetings and discussions and conversations related to cryptocurrencies. The White House a week ago has announced for the establishment of the Strategic Bitcoin Reserve and the United States Digital Asset Stockpile. And so there's a lot of things happening in this space. And I continue to watch this space with a mixture of confusion and derision and frustration and wonderment about what the future might hold. And at its core, I don't have much of a clue about really much of anything in this space. On the one hand, I can see the utility of blockchain technology. I can see the utility of some of these methods of record keeping. I can see various arguments on various sides of the equation. There's people that are much smarter than me that have all kinds of amazing ideas about how the world is going to be so wonderful in the future as we adopt and embrace various currencies, and Bitcoin's going to solve everything and it's going to fix everything. And I continue to wonder, well, does the emperor have no clothes, or am I just unable to see the clothes? I try to basically wind my way up the middle, being open to changes in the future, but being quite frustrated by various of those changes. I will say this, I like David Sachs. I've learned a good bit from him. I try to listen to him. He seems intelligent and things like that, but I don't have much of a desire to see the American people have money stolen from them in the form of taxation, and then to see that money put specifically into various random computer-generated algorithms that nobody really controls and nobody knows where they came from. Nobody really knows what they're doing, especially by people who are completely prone to political corruption. And it really bothers me that all of the news related to scammy crypto grifting coins is not that this particular scandal has not been further, continued. So let's go back a few months. And specifically, I want to talk about the Trump coin. Now, if you are unfamiliar with this, then that's perfectly fine and perfectly reasonable. In the avalanche of news related to the inauguration of President Trump, there were a good number of stories about it, and then basically it disappeared. But back in January, President Trump, and everyone associated with him launched a speculative crypto coin called the Trump coin. And this Trump coin was promoted publicly by President Trump. It was promoted publicly by people related to President Trump, and it went, as many cryptocurrencies do, from nothing to a very high valuation. I think the highest valuation was something where it went from basically nothing to up to like $70. something like that. And then very quickly in the aftermath of the election, it dropped down. And currently, if my chart is correct here, currently this coin is trading at about $11.50. So what that means is that many people purchased this coin at $70, and it now is down to $11.50. So what is the point of this coin? Well, we'll get to that in a moment. But this was not the only coin that was associated with the Trump brand. At the same time, there was another coin a week or so later that was launched called the Melania coin, which went through a similar structure where the Melania and people associated with the Trump organization were promoting these coins heavily, trying to get people to buy them. Now, where do these things come from? Well, basically, you have a little bit of computer code that somebody has built up, and then it all comes down to marketing. And so thousands of people at least, I don't know exactly how many, but many thousands of people said, oh, I'm going to buy this coin. And so they went and purchased the coin, hoping that they were going to continue to own these little bits of computer code. And as the promoters of the scam said, well, we're going to try to show your support for President Trump and for First Lady Melania Trump. Well, the problem is that if we look at this, we've come to find out that the Trump organization owns 80% of the coins. And so this is about as obvious and as naked of a grift, of just a money scam, as you can possibly get. The entire thing was designed from the beginning and executed as a means of transferring money from the pockets of those who purchased the coins into the pockets of those who created the coins through the fees and ownership of the coins, as well as to other people who might own and trade the coins. Now you say, Joshua, what's wrong with that? Well, you could make an argument that there's nothing wrong with it. After all, I can walk into my basement, I can pull out a strip of fabric, and I can splash a little paint on it from a random paint can, put it in a frame, and I can sell it to you for $2,000 or $200,000 or $20,000 or any number. And in fact, this is another classic scam that is the kind of thing that people do all the time. You might paint paintings. For example, the son of former President Biden, Hunter Biden, was well known for this. He makes his art, sells his paintings, and he's selling paintings for tens of thousands of dollars, when in reality, you look at the paintings and you ask yourself the question, is there any real artistic talent here? Is this something that people are buying because they're purchasing a valuable piece of art? Or is this something that people are buying because it's a way of transferring money from their pockets into the pockets of the son of the former president of the United States, who has access to the president and who has lots of ability to sway the actions of his father and of the U.S. government? Very fair question. Art has traditionally filled this role for many times. And in fact, there are lots of other political scams that basically have the same function. The most common one over the years has been that of speech making. So it's very common for a politician, especially a president, a high-ranking politician, when you get out of office, then you go on the public speaking circuit. And public speaking fees for a former president run about $250,000 for a 30 or 60-minute speech, something like that. And so this is a pretty good and legal way for you to transfer large amounts of money from your pocket into the pocket of your favorite former president who is on the speech-making circuit. Now, my point here is not to argue that that people don't commit scams and that bribery doesn't exist and that corruption doesn't exist. Of course, corruption, massive levels of corruption exist. The point here that I'm trying to argue is that this is not okay. And we should not be endorsing corruption in any way, shape, or form. And we're heading down a very dangerous road with the absolute public corruption that you see with things like these meme coins. Now, there have been a variety of other coins. It's not just the Trump coin and the Melania coin. The biggest one that I remember is that of the Let's Go Brandon coin. So this was one where finally the House Ethics Committee in the United States finally stepped in and brought an ethics investigation for Republican Congressman Madison Cawthorn. And so he purchased a whole bunch of this coin, Let's Go Brandon, and then he started promoting it in his public thing as part of the official political movement against President Biden at the time with the Let's Go Brandon meme. And then he sold out and took a whole bunch of money. And thankfully, he's being sued quite widely, and lots of people are being sued and brought into that. And I'm also thankful that a lot of promoters and whatnot are being dragged into the lawsuits. I think the most well-known public figure would be Candace Owens, who is being sued for her participation in an alleged deceptive promotion of the coins. Kim Kardashian was fined by the Securities and Exchange Commission for not disclosing her promotion, that she was paid to promote a token of cryptocurrency. I forget which one it was that she was promoting. And there are further investigations going, various investigations that will continue. It's hard to talk much about this issue because there are so many moving parts. The reality is we have a robust set of laws in the United States that govern things like insider trading and various stock ethics decisions and disclosures. But because of the way that cryptocurrencies are structured, they are not securities, and thus those securities laws do not have jurisdiction over the cryptocurrency assets. And so this is it's the wild, wild west. Now, we all have this challenge, right? Do we want more laws? Do we want fewer laws? It's a maddeningly complex world because on the one hand, I don't mind so much the wild, wild west when it's me and when it's you and it's perhaps other sophisticated actors. But I really, really mind the wild, wild west when I have a family member or a naive friend who says, hey, somebody told me that this Trump coin is going to go to the moon, so let me go ahead and put all my money in that. And then all of a sudden the rug gets pulled right out from underneath. The pump and dump is over, and now that person has lost his or her life savings. And I do not believe that this is a market that any morally upright person of integrity has any business being involved in. These are not productive things to do. These are scams, and the only way that you win when you trade assets like these is for somebody else to lose. There are trading events where you can make a good trade and both people walk away better. If you're selling your house and you need to sell your house in order to move, and I come along and I offer you a good buy on the house, and I say, hey, listen, I'll buy your house today for cash in order for you to be able to go on to somewhere else quickly, and then I'll fix it up and I'll sell it for more. We can both make a good deal. You can walk away from that as the seller of a house, and I can walk away from that as the buyer of a house, an investor who later sells it for more money. We can both make a good deal. So anytime that you and I are involved in some kind of trading operation, we need to make sure that there's some kind of mutually advantageous trade happening here, that there's some kind of productive thing that we're doing here. And that's what we should be looking for. The problem is that there are some trades that simply do not fit that fact pattern at all. There are some trades where the only way for me to make money is for you to lose it. Or the only way for you to make money is for me to lose it. And those are not appropriate markets to be participating in. May happen from time to time, unintentionally, but to be participating in those markets, you are a leech on society. And I wish you would realize that and go and do something better with your life. Go and do something productive with your life. Now, I'm not sure exactly where in the marketplace to bring my sword down. I appreciate and understand that there is a difference among cryptocurrency coins. So you can have a meme coin, and if you want to buy a meme coin, I think you probably should be allowed to. I'm not going to be on the side of saying that you are not allowed to be purchasing meme coins and selling meme coins. I guess people can pretty much buy and sell whatever they want. And we're in a market in which the pace of innovation is so fast, that people are inventing new things, that it seems almost hopeless to expect any kind of reasonable and intelligent and appropriate legislation to emerge, given how fast the market is moving. And perhaps you and I will find at the end of the decades, we'll find some good things that come from it. One thing that's interesting is that government regulation does tend to be, in many cases, a negative influence on innovation. And so if you want to see things change very quickly, just go into a market where there's not a lot of government regulation. It's one of the arguments why the high-tech sector over the last couple decades has been so productive. On the other hand, we face challenges because of it. It hasn't been universally good. There's been many good things that we're grateful for, but there are a whole bunch of challenges that have come due to that wild west, where basically anything goes. Time will tell, right? I don't know where things wind up, and I'm not even sure where they should be. I tend to generally have a libertarian instinct, but I observe that libertarians are really good at destroying society in many circumstances. So I don't know where to put, I don't know where to exactly to say things should be with regard to legislation. I hope that more informed, more intelligent men than I can come together and find some position on these things that seems good in the marketplace. Back to the coins, I was saying, I'm not sure exactly where to draw the line. Again, with the way that these coins were marketed, right, the Trump and Melania coins, the way that these coins were marketed was specifically saying they are not an investment. This is a way to show support for the president and the first lady of the United States. Well, that's good lawyer speak to kind of cover yourself from some liability as regard to promoting an investment. But at the end of the day, that's different than probably how some people recognize it. I think most people who wanted to give money to the president or to his companies or to his campaigns would understand naturally that the way that you do that is to make political contributions to a political campaign or to patronize a business that is specifically profiting rather than purchasing a coin, a meme coin. But I could be mistaken, right? People collect all kinds of funny things. They collect cards and physical coins and memorabilia and all kinds of things. I don't know. I don't want to come on here as holier than thou and somehow say that I have it all figured out. But I do think that we should be talking a lot about this, because if we're living in a world in which politicians are going to come into office, and the way of that politician coming into office, the way to profit on that is now that each politician is going to launch his or her own coin and hold it and do a big pump and dump where we're going to use the euphoria of the moment to go up, and then we're going to sell out and earn tens of millions or hundreds of millions of dollars. I'm not prepared to live in a world of that much naked political corruption. That is not the world that I want to live in. And so we've got to figure out some balance that exists that protects the sanctity and the honesty of politicians who have a job to serve the public, regardless of their own self-interest, and yet not overly restrict the activities of people individually. I wish I had an answer. I've thought about this for a while. I don't know. I don't have an answer. But some of the moves that we're making are not. This is not going down a good path. Is there a difference between a Trump coin and a Melania coin and a Monero or a Bitcoin or an Ethereum or any other thing? I would guess that there is a difference, right? There does seem to be a difference. And yet, when you actually think it through, you come down to the question and say, well, what fundamentally is the difference? What is the difference between the Trump coin and Bitcoin? And there is an answer to that, but the answer is not as obvious as perhaps the promoters of Bitcoin would like it to be, and it's a fair question to ask. What do we do in a world where the United States has a strategic reserve of cryptocurrencies? I can't even fathom this. I cannot even fathom this. Now, those promoters of Bitcoin, of course, will say, well, if we're going to have a gold reserve and we're going to have a strategic oil reserve, then why not have a strategic Bitcoin reserve? Okay, fair enough. But remember, the government only has money because it steals it from its citizens at the point of a gun. And so if we're going to do that, let's be really confident that we know what we're doing, because that is a moral right that, if you wield it wrongly, leads to absolute chaos and civil war. I am not an anarchist myself. I believe in government. The functions of government should be very, very limited, and they should be primarily related to the punishing of evildoers and the protection of citizens. That's it. Those are the basic legitimate functions of government. We can understand that if the government has a strategic oil reserve, that may be being done with regard to the long-term best interest of the people. Okay, that makes sense. A strategic gold reserve, similarly, we could say, all right, well, the gold doesn't seem particularly useful, but we do have this long time asset that has been around for thousands of years, and governments with lots of gold, they can, they printed currency based upon that gold. All right, we can argue that based upon historical precedent. Now, maybe the world is changing. Maybe we are living at a hinge of history, and now we're going to establish the strategic Bitcoin reserve. But how does that serve the citizenry? How does that serve it? I don't know. I've had to go and listen to David Sachs and see what he has to say and see if he can wrap my mind around it. I think when he's asked on this question, his point usually is, well, the U.S. government has already confiscated a bunch of Bitcoin from criminals and civil asset forfeiture and things like that, so we should have it. That's what I've heard him say. I'm not sure what more I should say on this topic. I just simply want to alert you to say we need to pay attention here because we're going in a very difficult direction. And this has significant impact on our future. The involvement of government, of elected representatives with these kinds of coins is highly, highly questionable. You may be conservative. You may say, I love President Trump. I'm a huge fan of his. And so he knew this was a way of showing support. And I knew that 80% of it was owned by the Trump companies. And that's totally okay with me. Okay. But this is not a good path when your opponent does exactly the same thing. When whoever the next Democratic candidate is, or whoever the next person is that you don't like who comes to office, when that person is shilling his meme coin, you're going to be saying the opposite. And so we need to stop and just call these things out publicly. And I'd have a whole lot more confidence in David Sachs as the crypto czar and the idea of the United States government having some kind of cryptocurrency reserve if the president wasn't shilling a meme coin. That pretty much destroys the conversation. It poisons the well from the beginning. In closing, I just want to say practically, do not invest any serious investment money into any of these kinds of schemes. Whenever you purchase any kind of digital asset, label it as a speculation, not as an investment. I believe that simple semantic distinction goes a long way towards putting you in a situation where you're thinking clearly. If you want to speculate, go ahead and speculate. Speculation is a perfectly reasonable thing for you to be involved in. It always has been. You can speculate on all kinds of assets, on all kinds of movements, on all kinds of markets across the board. Speculate away. If you've earned the money in an honorable way, and you control the money, and you want to speculate the money in a way that is lawful and not harmful to others, speculate away. But label it as a speculation, not as an investment. Because then you'll probably make better decisions with the actual amount of money that you're speculating with the actual outcomes that you are getting, and you'll probably be appropriately nervous about your positions along the way. That's all I want to say today. I have a lot of Bitcoin millionaires in my audience. I have a lot of Bitcoin millionaires as clients. Bitcoin has worked out great for you guys. That doesn't mean, by definition, that now every other crypto asset will go along. And if you're not involved in those markets, the other just thing I warn you is understand, if anybody is reaching out to you as an influencer and saying, hey, let's go on with this coin. If you're getting seeing tweets by someone, hey, let's jump on this coin. Just assume that your influencer is getting paid and you're the one who's going to be scammed. That's how it works. They offer the influencer a nice big fat check, and you're the one who's going to be scammed, and you're the one who's going to lose the money. If you want to speculate in this market, you'd have no reason to listen to me. Right? I'm not competent to advise you on your speculation. Go find your corner of the internet that is appropriate and helps you with that. But the rest of us in normie world, we had better be paying careful attention to the precedents that are being set today with the kind of public corruption that we allow in our society. And we had better be working hard to figure out what kind of legal frameworks appropriately protect the citizenry from the bad actors among us. That's a hard job to do. Today, I can't do anything more than raise the question, but let's be thinking about it and let's be working on that.
This is your before and after story. Prepare for an incredible career in nursing. At Southeastern College, experience expert hands-on training. Learn real-world skills in our professional lab and simulated settings. And train for opportunities as a practical nurse, registered nurse, or career advancement with our RN to BSN program. At Southeastern College, your future is bright. Visit sac.edu to get started.